Here we go. First heat of your boys 3200 is off. 22 athletes in this heat, and let's roll through those names for you. Garrett Gonzalez of Valley View, Alberto Barraza of Argyle, Van Sanders and Lee from Wiley, Brandon Willems of Argyle, Devin Rodriguez from Arlington, Caden, Caden Hersenshofer, and then Devin Rodriguez from Arlington. Guys now going out. 3 guys getting to the front, opening up a decent pace as they come through the 200-meter mark, right around 34 seconds. They're not going to hang on to that through the full 8 laps, but they want to get out and not get caught up in the mix. You also have Anthony Perez from Arlington, Nick Thomas, Mansfield Legacy, Brian Garcia from Garland, Eric Olgwin, Chance Stevenson, Michael Shaw, Moses Garcia, Eric Peacock, Brian Lopez, Landon Burdett, Chris Salinas, Brandon Malloy, and Josephat Monreal. That is your full heat. Now let's take a look at these guys. They come through right around 70 seconds, so they're moving. These guys are not holding back through the first quarter here. As you can see, contrary to what we saw in the girls' race, where it was a huge pack of 15 girls running together through the first 800 meters, this is one long line, nearly 40-50 meters long here, all strung out from this pace that is being thrown down already in this race. These guys are not going to mess around, and that's the big difference between what we see out of the girls and the boys, as it looks like Alberto Barraza running at the front of the race. Alberto Barraza in the green, actually. The difference between the girls and the boys here, the girls had one heat, so your finishing place was going to be your final finishing place no matter what. These guys have 3 heats. These are timed finals, so it's all about what time you put down. You can't run an easy race with the pack and play it tactical in this race, because then you know the next 2 heats are going to come out and just destroy your time. So these guys at the front are running really smart right now, knowing they've got to get straight to the front and just try to throw down a fast time and just see how things work out in the next following heats. But now they're going to come through the 800-meter mark. Things are starting to slow down a little bit as they settle into a more comfortable pace, right around 2:27. So after coming through in 70, coming back 77, right around 78 seconds. So that first quarter definitely a little bit fast for where these guys are at, but they're still hanging on to that pace. That group's starting to come back together. Those 2 leaders may be working a little bit beyond where their current fitness level is through that first 800 meters, as the rest of the pack has started to reel them in now. But they're still running strong at the head of the race. Big group now coming back together. In there you have Anthony Perez, Taylor Wiles is there, Devon Rodriguez, Ryan Lee. So all of your top seeds are starting to come back after those 2 guys who were out to a quick early start. Everybody grouping back together. Maybe some guys getting a little bit nervous when they saw that early gap, but now they have to reassess, kind of reestablish their pace, where they're at as they come through the 1200 meter mark, and what they want to do in the second portion here. As you see a group of 6 now starting to group up into a pack, separate themselves from everybody else. And the pace has definitely slowed. As soon as that catch was made and everybody grouped up, the pace slowed down. Nobody really wanting to get out to the front and hammer the next couple laps as these guys come through right around 350. Next lap will come through with 1600 meters. It'll give you a good idea of where their current pace is running right now. Everybody still in that front group still looks fairly comfortable. Everybody's hanging on to where they're running right now. Nobody's falling back a lot now that that catch has been made. And again, now it comes to who wants to do all that pace setting on the front. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game now, as your current leader is Ryan Lee. Ryan Lee out of Wiley. Wiley Lee now running at the front of the race. And that is Barraza. Barraza, who was one of those early guys who set the pace quickly back to the front again. Look, there we go. There's a big effort. There's a big move in with just shy of the 1600 meter mark. Alberto Barraza, he's only a freshman, so the young guy out of Argyle making a big move. And that is a very decisive moment in the race there. He's not looking back at anybody else. And that is the freshman Alberto Barraza now coming through just over 5 minutes, right around 5:03 now. And he is taking control of this race right at the halfway point, coming through at 5:05 through 1,600 meters. Now for him, at some point he came through, he saw the splits he was hitting, his coach told him where he was at, and he knew he had to go. And look at him go now. Barraza is on fire. Wearing the orange shoe there. Not looking back at anybody else. We'll see if anybody can reel him in through this point of the race. As you can tell behind, you see the gaps blowing up everywhere, as everybody else is trying to figure out how they're going to respond to the move he made, as that gap has now just kept going out to your leader, now with about 30 to 40 meters to everybody else, to the second athlete. That's Ryan Lee now from Wiley, trying to chase him down, and everybody else still trying to figure out what they're going to do about that huge move that just got put in, and how they're going to respond and get their way back up to the leader if they still want a chance to be in this race down the back stretch, as he now comes through running about 70 seconds now. So that pace has definitely increased. We saw it go up a bit too high through that first lap, through those middle laps. Guys maybe fell asleep a little bit. That pack came together, and then straight to the front and hammering it, just blowing this race completely apart, has been your leader running at the front, opening up that gap wider and wider as this race continues. This is the man you have to watch for. And that's actually number 22 on his hip. So that is Josephat Monreal. Monreal running at the front with Ryan Lee chasing. Your other guys behind, that's Chris Salinas from Waco running with his teammate there, Brian Lopez. Those guys trying to work together, get back into the race. But as you can see, that gap is huge. From first back to that group that's sitting in third through fifth is almost 100 meters now. That's going to be too much to make up unless someone has a monster kick and has been saving something for the last 800. But as you can see, Ryan Lee has been closing that gap. It hasn't gone down quickly, but slowly and surely, Ryan Lee is bringing that gap back to Monreal at the head of the race, as the pace has slowed again. Your leader has slowed down. He dropped a 70 there. Now he's dropped back to a 79. So maybe he made that move a bit too early, and he maybe could have waited a lap or two before dropping that fast split. Because now, as you can see, Riley Lee is coming back to him here. This is going to be an exciting race. It's not over till it's over. It was definitely a good move to blow open that race right when it came back together. He made a move when people weren't expecting it. They thought they could maybe relax a few laps before it got interesting again. But look at this. Here we go. Ryan Lee is going to make the pass. Now, Ryan Lee is looking much more comfortable than Monreal right now. His stride looks much more relaxed. His turnover is a little faster. And now you have a group of 5 guys here coming together. It's going to be a great battle for about third through fifth, as Ryan Lee is about to come up onto the shoulder of Monreal at the head of the race. And we'll see now how Monreal is going to respond once Lee catches him and passes him here. And it looks like Lee might sit on his heels for a moment. We'll see who wants to take the lead. There we go. He's running shoulder to shoulder. Now they both know where they are. Monreal knows he's got company, and Lee is right there with him. Here we go. This is going to be exciting. We're at 8:58 into the final lap, and Lee is taking the lead. Large group of 5 there going to be battling it down this final 400s for those final placings. And it's going to come down to these 2 guys at the front. Lee ran a great race. He ran his pace, not worrying about that 50-meter gap that went out, gradually working back and looking to go. He's putting in that extra effort, but Monreal is trying to hang on. He's trying to fight. You can see the grit there. But right now, Ryan Lee looks so smooth, and he's going to open things up, coming through 35 seconds through that 200 meters there. He is moving, and Monreal's got to be careful because these guys are opening up some kicks behind, and if he fades a little bit, they're going to be right there. But right now, Ryan Lee, he's going to open up his stride and just cruise down the final 100 meters, and he's got more left in the tank. Look at him go. Ryan Lee is just powering down the home stretch. He had some extra left in the tank. Great race out of Ryan Lee. He's going to be your champ in the first heat of the boys 32. As we see the rest of the guys, Joseph Monreal from Mesquite, great race out of him. He really made things interesting. Going to hold on for second place as the rest of the crew rolls through the first heat of the boys 3200. Finishing time just over 10 minutes. So these guys who may have been gunning for at sub 10 came just shy of that mark. A bit of an up and down yo-yo kind of race with the paces they were setting, varying almost every lap from 70 up to 79 for your leaders. And we have some great battles down the home stretch here, fighting for those final placings. Every single lap of the distance races are exciting. You never know how it's going to play out in the end. Great job for all these guys. And we have close finishes. Doesn't matter what place you're fighting for. You always got to sprint down the home stretch. Great atmosphere. It's always fun to run under the lights. Bit of a different environment. Just changing it up a little bit. Makes it unique. As these athletes finish up their final lap. First heat out of 3 in your boys 3200 meters here in the 51st edition of the Jesuit Shiner Relays.